If you're afraid AI is going to replace you, or you believe it might replace components of your industry, then my question is, what are you doing to make yourself irreplaceable? And here we are again, guys. I am really excited. I'm always excited. I'm Italian. What can I tell you? It is the Utah Business Spotlight. We're taking it to the next level. We take businesses and we just blow them up. We breathe life into your business. Make sure you're booking with us. Today, I have my friend, Wes Israelson, and man, you need to know him. You need to know his business. I'm going to let him introduce himself. I'm going to let him introduce his business. But I want to tell you something. It's very rare that you run across a person who you can just talk to for hours. Our really good friend, Stacy, who's on a previous podcast, she's one of the best designers I know. You have to make sure that you see her video. Said, man, I think my friend Wes and you are just going to click. So we got on the phone and brother, we just talked for almost an hour and I'm like, holy cow, I got to get my kids. They're standing at a bus stop. And you're like, okay, should we talk in the car? And I'm like, no, I got to go. Brother, you are a brother from another mother. You are just an incredible, you have your own podcast. We're going to talk a little about that. But share about your business and your business background here in Utah, because you're somebody that most people in business in Utah already know.
I would say it's maybe a fair amount of people know. There's a lot of people that don't because we're not great at marketing, right? But Main Street Office Furniture, we are a commercial furniture provider that helps employees and their businesses understand that when your employees are more engaged due to their office furniture, they work better. And if they love where they work, they produce better, right?
That's so 100%.
We are a commercial furniture provider with a moving company that helps employees love where they work.
I love that. So what you're doing, because I do love marketing, I'm great at it. So here's what you're doing is you're building environments for owners that create a higher level of productivity, satisfaction, and excitement for their teams. Therefore, that investment supersedes any other investment they should make because that's the first place that they market. When I'm teaching marketing, I'm always sharing the person that you primarily market to is yourself. You've got to believe that you can do it. Secondary, that's your team. If you're the CEO and founder, you have to maintain the vision. That's the goal. And that vision becomes real in environment. We built salons. We built the top salons in the United States. It was all about environment. That's why we were published so often and won so many awards. So when I started to discover what you did, I just started looking you up and I'm like seeing picture after picture after picture. And I'm like, man, I hate my office environment. I really like the one at my house, but I have to get a new chair. And I'm like thinking to myself, we build environments. The second thing I wanted, the tertiary, which will lead me to my first question. But the tertiary, Wes, and the impact is that it has on your vendors. If anybody comes to your office and sees a happy group of engaged people, they're likely to talk about that because it's become so unique. It's not the standard right now. And you're building environments that are ridiculously cool and not crazy unaffordable. Yeah. They're just really well thought out because you have access to all of this information about what's available that you can really probably create any type of environment and you can base it around, moderate budgets. It doesn't have to be extreme.
Yeah. And it's really unique because, in our mind, everyone knows what we know, but in reality, they don't, right? And if your employees don't know how to sit correct, but yet you bought them a computer, you got them set up at their desk, and you onboarded them with all that, but didn't show them how to actually sit or use their height adjustable desk or connect within their collaboration space due to acoustics, it changes the environment. We often say, if you have a blank canvas, we get to paint your dream with our unique ability to make your space and your team love where they work.
You just said something to me that was interesting that I really have taught for my whole life, but I forgot that many people don't teach it. And I just assumed that once I started teaching it, everybody would steal it. But your employees generally don't know how to use the environment. They don't know how to use. You have to teach them. You have to prepare them. Like, hey, you have this standing desk. It's going to be awesome. You have this incredible. I'm going to use. I don't know if you sell them or don't sell them. I don't know. But you have this incredible steel case chair that has this awesome lumbar support. If you're lucky enough to have an owner that invests in that chair for you, that's incredible. Most owners go to Costco and buy a bunch of $99 chairs, and they're going to break your back, and they wonder why. Because if I'm the owner and I'm asking you for 10 hours, I'm only paying you for 7.5, right? And I expect you to be world class. But what I'm doing during that 8-hour period of time is I'm compacting all the discs in your back, right? And you by the second hour are so uncomfortable that there's no way you can integrate comfortably or enthusiastically or energetically with your clients because your energy is compacting in your back, and it's terrible. Why are you doing that to your employees? Smarten up, guys. You need Wes right now. Put the phone down and call him. Brother, I think that's it's underrated. We don't realize that as the stewards of these human souls, and I believe being an entrepreneur is a blessing, right? And I know you're deep in your faith. I'm deep in mine. When we opened our first set of salons, that was over 40 years ago, it said with the faith of a mustard seed, and no one really knew what that meant, right? Many people still don't, right? But it is pulled from the Bible. And my belief is that my blessing, right? When I opened my first, I prayed and prayed and prayed and thought to myself, there was a moment that God changed me. I was incredibly talented, but incredibly disconnected, right? And I think when I got on my knees and I literally fell to my knees and asked for forgiveness, and I could feel God forgiving me, and I said, I just want to take care of your children. And I believe as entrepreneurs, when we're gifted that opportunity to take care of God's children, to be the stewards of this group, right? To help mentor them and nurture them and take care of their families, that we have an obligation to do that at the deepest level. I know that's why you built your business. And I know that that's what you're doing. Tell me more about that, because that makes you so different, brother.
My wife and I talk a lot about it, but there's like these abnormal boundaries is what we've decided it is.
And abnormal, of course I get the abnormal people under my podcast because they're attracted to me. What is that telling you? People who are abnormal like Italians from Brooklyn.
But to the question, how you treat your spouse and your children generally is how you treat your employees, right? So if you are not a steward of believing what you actually want to do or what you do, it's different. So the employees of our company, when you walk into our space, they're laughing, they're throwing a football, they're having fun, they're connecting, they're eating lunch together. And when employees or customers walk in, they're like, wow, it feels different.
Yeah.
But when your employees actually feel different at work, they produce so much different.
And
retention's a thing.
Retention is for a very well-known coffee company that everybody in the world knows and has experienced, their number one way they lose money is retention.
Yeah.
And you would think, and they have a great environment. They're a great place to work for. But that first 90 days of training, that retention is everything. If you're a hair salon owner, retention is everything because that person's leaving with a book of business, right? You want to retain them. And for us, that's how we got to almost 300 employees, is because retention was everything. That was my goal, was to nurture you so that you never want to leave. And, I'm pretty proud of it. A group of them are still working together almost 35 years later.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
If you look at the data today, it's like 2.5 to 4 years is the average employee for a 5 to 50 person company size, right?
It's incredible, right? The turnover.
And if you can if you can make the space an environment where people, A, after COVID want to come back, B, can actually connect. The Zoom meetings, you're losing 30% of actual innovation because you're not in person. When you get your team back in person and they're in a space that's collaborative, it's quiet like this Acoustics here, man, it gets them to open up. It gets them to be real, and innovation happens there.
You know, you keep using a word that I think is completely overlooked, and the word is acoustics. And I think when people are designing, especially what I find, salons, restaurants, they forego, and office space, they forego the understanding of acoustics. You do not feel safe if you hear an echo. You don't feel safe. If you can hear their conversation, you're less likely to bear your own conversation because you're like, everybody can hear me. So you become more vulnerable.
And if you look at the facts, everyone went home for COVID.
Everyone.
And then when they came back, forced comeback or hybrid styles, their office at home was a lot quieter than the office today. So now they're 15, 20% deficit in productivity just due to noise. And gosh forbid they have a child that's in the doctor or somewhere that they need to go take a private call. You better have a pod or a room for them to feel safe to have the conversation in.
Oh, wow. So, and that's what I see in your design cues. You're really hyper-focused on treatment, on space, on taking I'm going to say not a small space, but a modest space and making it feel big, creating these little things. And I think that nesting or that nurture feeling of the space that you create is incredible. And you happen to do it with ridiculously cool looking product, by the way, and in a ridiculously cool color palette consistently. So I appreciate both sides. It's well thought out, but it's pieces that are going to last as well. So that's important.
And I think overlooked, one of the massive things is ergonomics. Back to kind of what you had said, most people spend $3,000 to $6,000 on a mattress and sleep 6 hours a night. But yet they'll sit in their desk chair for that 10 hours, 8 hours on something that costs $100. Like business owners,
do that?
Business owners listening, spend money on where your employees sit. It's simple.
I know, right? It's if you think about even if you project it, like sitting's probably bad for you no matter how good the chair. But the differentiation between feeling uncomfortable after a half hour, last night we were lucky enough to go to the Hale Center and somehow a really dear friend of mine gave my family front row tickets to this play, and it was awesome.
Good for you.
But I was sitting in the play and I was like, my back was tweaked and I just couldn't get comfortable, which means I couldn't fully engage. And it was awesome, by the way. If you haven't been to the Hale Center, the little theater in the Hale Center, you got to go. It's just incredible. But if you're uncomfortable in a chair, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There's just...
And if you think of REM sleep, when you sleep at night, right, you get in the same work period. So you can be in this hyper-focused state. But to your point, if your back's hurt, your hips hurt, the chair doesn't work, your desk is too hollow, your shoulders are starting, like any of those positions stop your employees. And then guess what? They start talking to their neighbor or the next person over. And it causes a ripple effect. And hey, let's just go around the building for a walk. Well, productivity is not 7 hours. It's actually 4 hours.
Hey, and if you losing 3 hours a day, at the end of the year, you've lost, weeks and weeks of productivity. So if you have 10 staff members, you're losing 3 hours a day of productivity. You're losing about 180 hours per member. If you've got 10 of them, that's 1,800 hours. And if you guys do the math, that means you lost one whole person off your team, maybe two.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have to go.
You still paid the salary or the hourly for it. You didn't. Yeah. I mean, it's a net loss.
It's a terrible loss. It's painful. I'm a businessman. I hate losing money. I hate losing money. You should hate losing money too. Get better chairs. And one of the things that I think is interesting in what you do so many cool things, brother. So the problem that you're solving is that they don't know that you're going to solve is productivity. Most people come to you, they need their office done. They want a pretty office. They want it to feel high end. They want it to feel good. They don't realize productivity is the silent result, right? So that's super cool. Who's your favorite client?
That's a great question, Peter, because to me, my favorite client is someone who cares about their employees. When I say that, I mean, if we talked a little bit about retention, but the average employee is 2.5 years, right? But if you can get that employee to stay 5 or 10 years, you're 10 years longer. They've grown with your company. They've helped build your company. So employees that have, or business owners that have 5 to 50 employees, square foot, like 2 to 10,000 square feet, because they have the room to grow their business and also engage with their team at a different level. They're willing to walk through the workspace, follow the flow that we've designed for their space, but also engage. So your meeting spaces are meant to engage with your team. Business owners that love to engage with your actual team are our ideal customers because they care more than most people. It's a family.
It's a family. And I think I love that because it resonates so deeply with me. For me, when I'm building a company, I'm starting with the employees. Like, okay, cool. I want them to see themselves in the role. I want them to sit in the role. I want them to feel the role and really embrace it. And then from there, be creative with it. So I love that. Share with me, man, because there's so much going on with AI.
Yeah.
My daughter is preparing to go to design school. She's graduating high school, and she wants to be a designer. And I think in the design community, there's a little bit of fear of AI.
Yeah, I think the best way I can describe it, and I told it to our team this morning, is AI is going to find you. Like, even if you don't want it, it will find you. It's going to find you.
It's going to find you.
So
it's on the hunt.
The point is adapt to it today. Start utilizing it today. So something cool that we found for our business and our clients is the use of AI within furniture and services. So if you can use your team, our team, project management, customer service, if we can get that customer satisfaction level up by utilizing the AI, that's amazing for not only our team, our employees who are on site doing the actual physical work, but the customers, the perpetuity of having a customer push you because they have now a deep trust within you, right?
Sure.
And as businesses today, like innovation of AI, height adjustable desks, chairs will eventually fit you to them in some ways in the future. And there's so many things happening with the tech sector within AI for businesses today.
And you're embracing it all.
Where you're working like heck to do that, yes.
And that I think that's one of the harder things that many entrepreneurs, they're afraid of AI. They're using it already, but they're afraid of it. Here's my belief on AI, and I want to share with the audience. If you're afraid AI is going to replace you, or you believe it might replace components of your industry, then my question is, what are you doing to make yourself irreplaceable? So if I get a feedback from AI, what you're sharing is, I'm your project manager. I get the feedback from AI, I start looking at it, and I say, okay, cool. This is the foundation. Now we're going to personalize it to the human being. And I think if you're afraid, that means you're not putting enough time, effort, and energy into being the best you can be, because the best is never afraid. If I'm Michael Jordan, I'm not afraid of a new basketball, or I'm not afraid of the new wood that they're going to put on the court. As a matter of fact, I'm going to look at it, I'm going to say, okay, cool. What's it do for me? Because I'm Michael Jordan. You've got to be the Jordan of your industry so that you can say, what is AI doing for me that's going to help me go to the next level so that I can better take care of the people that have been gifted to me, that I can nurture, I can be the steward of.
And we are moving side too. So I would say engage in chat or Gronk or whatever it is, but turn on the conversation mode. And while you're driving, just listening to music, start asking it questions. Start learning more and more about how it can help you and your industry, or be where you are irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Right? Make yourself more knowledgeable.
And I think that's a part of the key to any success. I've read almost 4,000 books, but well over 3,000 books. I have a sick amount of books. And when I was 19 years old, and I knew that I wanted my own space, my own business, I just stopped watching TV. I bought. I want to tell you a quick story. I went to IKEA. I bought Billy they're called Billy shelves. It's a Billy style shelf. Most of you know it if you've ever been to IKEA. I bought 6 Billy shelves. So they're about 6 feet high. They're about 2.5, 3 feet wide, about 30 plus inches wide. And they were all empty. And I said, I'm going to fill them with books that I've read. And I bought 1 IKEA chair, a rug, and a table. And every week I would read 3 to 5 books. And I would just read and read and read. And then I would discuss those books with my team. And I would take out the 3 to 5 books and I just discuss it with my team. And I'd say, hey, I just read this. This was probably appropriate. I read a lot of autobiographies, so they weren't always appropriate, but I'd find something that was appropriate. And I got a letter an email. And it was from one of my team members, and they were like, I hated you. I hated those Monday mornings where we had to go in and we would hear about, and she said, but I'm sorry because I totally love you. It was the greatest experience of my life. And now I'm seeing myself talk to my children in the same way you talked to us. And we were so young and so naive, and we didn't even know the wisdom you were sharing. And she's like, I hope you're still sharing that wisdom. And this is 25 years later.
He is, by the way, just so you know, for me.
And I think it's interesting. So I think there are ways you can set yourself apart. And I think that education, and I'm going to pull it back. I don't think it's education. For everybody listening, if you want to set yourself apart, become ridiculously, insatiably curious. So one of the things that you just said is like, turn it on in the car. Turn on Grok or turn on ChatGPT or Claudio or any of the Joy. There's a lot of them. Have a conversation. Start to create the prompt. Start to tell it about yourself so it's going to give you responses. Tell it your strengths and weaknesses. If you come to any of our Wednesday night events, we give you a series of prompts that you can just drop right in and really dial in the conversation that you're having with AI. So I'd highly recommend coming to our Wednesday events. They're from 6 to 8 every Wednesday at Bad Bet Productions. They're in our studio. If you're not part of Club Social, you should learn more about it. It's super, super cool. But Wes, I'm beyond grateful that we've been going a half hour. It's a 15-minute interview.
I don't want to stop either.
I know, it's crazy, brother. I'm taking Wes out for lunch next week. You guys can all be jealous. I'm going to actually show up at his place. Where is your place?
3965 South State Street today. We are moving. We got a new building, so it'll be 3624 Main in 2 months from now.
In Salt Lake City.
Yes, all in Salt Lake. Yeah.
Love it, man. Love, love, love it. If you want really cool chairs, now you have 2 divisions in that. You have this brand new stuff, but you also have
the sustainable used furniture, where that way, if you're starting out your business today, it saves you a lot of money. You're getting grade A product, but honestly, you're getting some of the best quality at half the cost, if not more.
Yeah, so that's where you can pick up. What are some of the brands you represent?
I mean, you already named Steelcase. We have Leaps. We have Think chairs. We have Herman Miller. We have Technion. We have Knoll. We have all the name brands that everyone else has.
Yeah, and we love Herman Miller.
They're all great.
They're all great. I like Steelcase. They have that kind of cool orange chair that I just love, right? And and then there's so much, but if it's orange and it has lumbar, Peter Anthony has to have it.
I just want to say thank you, though, seriously, Peter, because it's really amazing what you do, and it's really amazing to talk to you.
Thank you so much, man. It means a lot to me. So if you guys are listening, check out Wes. Go get yourself something. Give your staff an upgrade. And to be honest with you, if you have 20 staff members and you had to spend, $1,000 a chair, it's $20,000. Even if you amortize that over 2 years, right, which would be nothing. That's 24 payments. It's going to cost you about $900 a month. It's peanuts. It's peanuts in comparison to what you're going to get is immediate ROI. Stop spending money on Facebook ads and get your client and get your team more engaged, right? Because your Facebook ads probably aren't working anyway. Organic social, work with us. great environment, work with Wes.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.